For joining us for another episode of Economic Lifelines Nigeria. I'm Wale Famurewa. Music and movies are key elements of what is widely known as Nigeria's creative industry. This is a sector that has grown rapidly over the last 3 decades, and in today's program, we take a look at how the public and private sector are supporting the growth of the industry. Africa's most populated country is a melting pot with over 250 ethnic groups. In 2012, the National Bureau of Statistics reported that 112 million, or 64% of Nigerians, are poor. Some say this situation is what inspires the creativity that is taking the world by storm.
Creativity is about poverty. Poor people are the most creative people in the world. Rich people are not creative in terms of being athletes or being movie stars or being record producers or writers. Usually poor people define how rich people wear clothes and how we dance and how we talk. We're from the ghetto, and we have tons of those here. And we've been blessed with very creative people in Nigeria. And I think the most creative people in Africa are Nigerians. And the most creative people in the world, obviously, will be Nigerians once they have the marketing opportunities.
It's perhaps the only industry in Nigeria that is self-sustaining and that has had to grow without the aid of the government. It's a child of necessity. You know, Nigerians naturally are creative people, and we've found ourselves evolve over time, especially the industry, the writers, the musicians, the actors. You know, what you see today is purely self-effort.
I think the key thing about Nigerians and their creativity is their attitude, otherwise known as their persona, or what on the slang they might say, your P. Yeah. So that Nigerian persona is unique, and it's global. And when you see a Nigerian anywhere in the world, love him or hate him, you know who he is. And that is what comes through. And it's one of the reasons why the music, when it comes, is authentic, because they're coming with attitude. They're not apologizing to anybody. And I think that's one of the things. That's why hip-hop and Nigerian music, urban culture, meshed so strongly, because the attitude is, I will not lose. If you're not going to let me through the door, I'll break the door down.
Nigeria's entertainment industry is made up of businesses involved in the production and distribution of music and motion pictures. But sports, fashion, and other arts and crafts are also considered. However you define it, the sector is demanding more attention from government and the private sector.
The creative and entertainment industry holds a lot for the future of Nigeria. The entertainment industry can be a very great avenue for resolving this unemployment problem. And in fact, the studies carried out show that this particular industry requires about 5 trillion naira, you know, to be able to really come up forcefully.
I think it's probably one of the largest employers of labor in Nigeria today. Every child wants to be an artist, whether you're from the rich home or the poor home. And this is unique because you now have rich people's children trying to imitate poor people's children. Okay, and that's what I love about it. So this is amazing. So who knows? You know, we don't even know the population of Nigeria. How can we know the value of the industry?
One of the biggest movie channels on YouTube is a Nollywood Love channel, Iroko Partners, with something like 40 million views a month in 200 countries, with only 20% of the views coming from Nigeria. That's an incredible thing to really understand. Let's understand that Nigerian music is everywhere. I mean, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, Venezuela, Jamaica, not just the UK, not just Africa, America, it's there, right? So we're coming. We're not where we want to be yet, but we're definitely coming. Let's talk about here at home. You see the telco brands fighting over endorsements. You see everybody beginning to understand that, hey, the average age of the Nigerian is 19. I want to talk to that market. Who am I going to use? Comedy, music, football, Nollywood, fashion. So soft power.
Look, the next superstar is not going to come from Botswana. It's not going to come from Namibia. The next superstar is going to come from Nigeria. That is a fact. The next superstar is going to be a Nigerian worldwide. Let me make a prediction. In the next 10 years, all the most famous female black Hollywood stars will be married to Nigerians. You want to bet?
Thank you very much. So after you.
However, the industry has struggled to achieve its full potential.
Distribution is one singular issue that resolves about 10 industries, both in terms of supply chain for retail and in distribution for content industries, whether you're newspaper print, magazine print, whether your products such as DVD, VCD, CD, right, or your collateral such as merchandise. So distribution is a major issue that hopefully somebody can inject significant capital into to unlock. Those are some of the industries that are billion-dollar industries waiting to happen in this economy.
Copyright laws are strong and very effective. They're not enforced. Just like laws that don't allow you to marry children. They're laws, they're not enforced. Or laws that say you can only have one wife. They're laws, but they're not enforced. And that is the story of Nigeria. And because there is no education to the law enforcement officials about the economic damage it causes to have those pirates in terms of protecting intellectual property, the policeman doesn't know himself why he's doing it. I was at a conference many years ago, and there was a top policeman at the conference in the 80s, and we discussed piracy, and I was in the anti-piracy committee, and we talked about how it was important to protect intellectual property. And the policeman at the function said, Mr. Bruce, what is your problem? You own this property. I said, yes. And you produce yours. I said, yes. And the pirate produces his. I said, yes. He said, what is your problem? You make your profit, the pirate makes his profit. So let everybody survive. And so if he has no knowledge of intellectual property, then where do you begin?
Two, which I'll take as the first one, distribution is second, is proper regulatory body that comes with the laws to structure the industry. Now, regulatory body would make it easy for the businessman to put his money behind this industry you call creative industry. The entire industry is more or less controlled by maybe NCC. That's the only body I can see right now. NCC being Nigerian Copyright Commission. Now, their responsibilities are not wide enough to cover the entire industry. I mean, they're called Copyright Commission, so they're more or less restricted to anything that has to do with copyright. So you're not touching the business end, the regulation. How do I negotiate with, for example, synchronization rights? My song is on TV, is on a movie, or someone is merchandising something and puts my name on it, or the reality TV shows you see and they do music, or the ringback tones and all of those things. I think the entertainment industry is the only one that lacks proper regulation.
The challenge I find in the industry is that, they actually need the involvement of professionals who understand financing and financial structures. But the value of many of the transactions in the industry, the values are very small, and the period that it takes for making a good quality project is very long. I've been involved with Half of a Yellow Sun since 2008, and the film will still not be released until next year. So from 2008 to 2014, that's a 6-year project, and it's about $8 million.
Bro, this is the best news of this year.
With very little support from the public and private sectors, Nigeria's creative industry has grown steadily over the last decade. While many observers say that these productions often fall short of the international quality standards, they have nevertheless built an appeal in Africa and beyond that cannot be denied. Nigeria's government has taken note and in the past 3 years announced a number of intervention funds to support the growth and development of the industry. Most notable are a series of financial interventions. In 2010, the government announced a $200 million fund designed to provide debt finance to the sector. This was followed this year by a $18.7 million grant scheme for entrepreneurs looking for seed capital to finance ventures.
For the creative and entertainment industry, the arrangement being made is to source about $700 million from the ADB as a total package, out of which About $200 to $300 million out of this is going to be used to support the creative and entertainment industry. And we are pleased that we are at the point of concluding the sovereign guarantee for that particular fund. And we are hopeful that in the next couple of weeks, we should be ready to roll out that fund. But apart from that also, as you are aware, the federal government also recently announced a grant of 3 billion naira to support the creative and entertainment industry. And this fund, a bulk of it will be used to support the distribution network, which has been a major bottleneck in the industry. And it's also going to be used to do a lot of capacity building for the practitioners, knowing fully well that entertainment is a big business. And for people to be able to get good returns, there is need for adequate capacity building. So a reasonable sum out of this 3 billion grant will be used for that. And for now, we are at the point of drawing up the final guidelines, for practitioners to be able to access that particular window.
Kene Nkparu is the CEO of Film House and one of many Nigerians who have returned from the diaspora to explore the potential of Nigeria's creative industry. His company is a beneficiary of the funding support provided by the Bank of Industry and Nexim.
Probably sometime in 2005, a bunch of us were working with Odeon Cinemas in the UK, and Odeon is the biggest cinema chain in Europe. And we made a presentation to a gentleman from Nigeria who was interested in cinemas. And as we all sat there, giving this presentation, we just thought, it would be a great idea to go back to Nigeria and do the same thing that we've been doing for a long time in the UK. And in 2010, Film House was born. We started Film House and went through all the process, building the cinema, fundraising, all that financing stuff. And by December 2012, we opened our first 2 cinemas, and by May 2013, the third one followed, So it's been a hard slog, but an exciting one as well.
As of today, we have disbursed over 2 billion naira towards assisting a good number of companies within the creative and entertainment industry. We have done some in the area of cinema, which is also part of the distribution network we are talking about. We've also financed 2 major films. One is The Half of a Yellow Sun, and then the other one is Flag. And I'm delighted, that the premiere for the 2 films happened in London recently. And I have the privilege of attending the 2, and the reception was wonderful for both of them. Apart from that, we have also been supporting practitioners in the area of doing the DVD, for instance. We've also given some loans for people who are going to distribution network, okay? And all this we've been able to do with our own resources.
Film House is only one of a handful of companies that have accessed funds from the 2 government-backed institutions.
When we went with our business plan, we had financial people behind us. We engaged our financial people. They talked the talk for us. We can do all the nice creative things. The financial people will talk with the bankers. They understand themselves, But I find that a lot of times, our colleagues in the creative industry in Nigeria, they're the ones going to speak with the financial people. Oftentimes they're not understanding each other, So a loan is a loan. There's a law in Nigeria that says a loan must have a collateral. Yeah. So get creative. Find a way to do it. And a lot of this concern comes from some people, particularly in the production industry. Unlike us in the exhibition, because perhaps they can argue that we have physical asset we're going to buy. But the fact of the matter is, producers have actually got money from this fund. Dr. Bello was funded by Nexim Bank, and that's film production. Half of a Yellow Sun got funding from Bank of Industry. So how did these producers get it? And one good thing I find from them, I think it was the Nexim MD that said, they get creative to be able to deal with the creative industry. So they don't approach us, they don't deal with us the way they will deal with a normal manufacturing company, whoever they lend to. We're a creative industry, so they've had to go creative as well in their guidelines to be able to meet our needs, and so that's what we did, and we found that every step of the way they helped, because they want to fund us. They wanted to fund the industry.
You know, one thing is clear. Without pain, there can be no gain. You know, if you really want to be an investor, you must be prepared to pay the price. And part of the price is that the prudential guidelines are clear as to what kind of level of security we should take for different loans that you give. A lot of bankers in recent time were jailed because they gave out loans without adequate security. And there's hardly any way any bank can lend today without some measure of collateralization. It could vary depending on the nature of the loan and the level of the loan being asked for. I mean, let me give you an instance. If you talk about the cinema, for instance, we didn't go all out to ask for any other security apart from a lien on the asset that we finance, as well as a domiciliation arrangement.
However, while financing remains a major challenge for the industry, not everyone thinks doling out cash to the sector is the best way forward.
I think they took the wrong angle by doling out cash. You know, that's not what the industry needs. The industry is making a whole lot of money as it is already. You know, what they need to do is protecting what would have been made. If the industry is making $200 million today, I can guarantee you that through the back door, the industry is losing $1 billion. That's what they need to protect, and that's the structure that needs to come in. They need to create, again, the laws, the framework within which this industry would operate. What you have right now is purely the Copyright Act. This was enacted about, I think, 10, 15 years ago. The Copyright Act is here to cover modern day entertainment business. For example, digital, online streaming, you know, and all those things. It is a huge lacuna. They have refused to update this thing. In the US, there's constant updates. You know, the Digital Media Rights Act and all of those things are constantly updated. Here in Nigeria, we're still dealing with CDs, but the world is fast moving beyond the CDs.
Capacity building for me is critical. You know, even from the film production side of things and also cinema side of things. You know, we're looking to open 25 cinemas in 6 years. Our competitors, I'm sure, are planning to open more cinemas as well. But who are going to be the technicians? What the world will call projectionists. These are specialized equipment. You know, who is going to man them? Who is going to, you know? So we are finding that we're having to develop a school ourselves, an academy ourselves.
After the break, we continue our look at Nigeria's creative industries and delve deeper into financing and other issues impacting movie and music makers.